My second revelation is I have the power to live the life that I want to live.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing today? I am delighted, I'm excited to speak with you all for the next few minutes.
Hello, my name is Fermín Vázquez, and I serve as Miami-Dade College's North Campus president. And we're here celebrating the 19th annual African American Read-In with our acclaimed author, Mr. Jefferson Noël. How you doing, Mr. Noël?
Doing wonderful, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, today's been an action-packed day here at the North Campus. Yes. We started off early with some elected officials, some folks from the community, and our leadership here at Miami-Dade College, along with some of our students that you got to meet. So share with me, how was that experience as we kicked off?
It was an incredible experience because everyone was so warm, inviting, loving, and they had a spirit of anticipation. And everyone was ready to receive and also ready to share as well, because I had a lot of conversations with a lot of the leadership, and you could just tell by looking in their eyes, they're passionate about the students here at Miami-Dade College, but they're also passionate about the broader community as well. So by you all inviting the politicians, the local leaders into the conversation, it really showed Miami-Dade College's heart for the community and for the youth. And it was an incredible experience.
Well, you know, here at the North Campus, this is definitely one of my favorite events, that we get to celebrate African-American reading with acclaimed authors from the community. What's so special about you is you have a story that's not far from Miami, or maybe here in Miami. So for all those folks that are joining and listening to the show for the first time, share a little bit about yourself and what's your story like, and what catapulted you to now be an author of an acclaimed book like Go?
Oh, so how much time do we have? So I was born and raised in the county of Dade. That's what they say. I was born and raised in the county of Dade, 305.
Or the Wade 305 also, right?
That's right, Wade 305. And my parents, they came from Haiti in the search of a better life for themselves and for their families at home. And although they met here in the United States of America, I feel like their spirits were already connected, because within like a year and some change in a meeting, they got together, got married, and they started to build their family. And you know, I was raised to care a lot about hard work, to care a lot about education. And although I was raised that way, I didn't always have those desires. I didn't always have the love for education. I wasn't always a hard worker. And you know, growing up, my brother, he was an overachiever, extremely intelligent academically. My sister, an amazing writer, a great person too. And when it got to my senior year in high school, while all my friends were applying for colleges, Miami-Dade, FIU, UF, places around the country, they're applying for colleges and scholarships, and they were getting letters of acceptance and notifications of acceptance. At the same time, I was getting notifications of my fantasy football league. Like, that's what I cared the most about at that time.
Hopefully, you didn't have too many Dolphins players on that team, because if not, you weren't going to do too well.
We're not going to get into that. It was not good. And I wasn't applying for colleges, and it was the last day of school. I remember clearly I was in Mr. Kishman's class at North Miami Beach Senior High School, and there was an announcement on the PA system, and they said, if you're interested in going to college, go to the library. Miami-Dade College is here, and all you need is a name and email to get started, and that's and I was like, that easy? I was like, name and email, that's the process to get started? I don't have to write something super complicated? And they're like, yeah. So I went to the library, I signed up, and then literally in 2.5 to 3 weeks, I was starting school at Miami-Dade College. And so I started at Miami-Dade, started at the Entrepreneurial Center on 7th Avenue Northwest. And it was actually great. Like, I enjoyed the professors, I enjoyed the classes, I loved the conversations I was having with the students. Like, everything was great. But in my heart of hearts, I still didn't value education yet. But it was a place to be. I knew my parents wanted to be there. And although I was enjoying it, I didn't value it yet, but I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I eventually dropped out of college after a year. And unfortunately, I dropped out, I started a business, and that business failed. Failed after 4 months. I actually had to close the doors of my business on my birthday, right? And so there I was. I didn't want to go back to school, although it was good. I didn't want to go back. I failed at business. And, I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I started working valet. And I was working valet, and I was making good money, but at the same time, I didn't feel respected and loved and appreciated and all that. And long story short, I eventually, said I need to get uncomfortable because the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And then I was like, okay, let me move out of my parents' house. Let me just go somewhere else. But, like I said, I have Haitian parents.
Right.
To leave a Haitian parents' house, you go only if you get married or if you go to school. I did not have a girlfriend, so I couldn't get married. Decided to go back to school. So I went to Valencia College in Orlando. And it was in that season of my life, I started to get more serious. I remember when I was a student at Miami-Dade College, I told myself I would be an author one day because of a great experience I had with an author while a student there. So that's when I started writing my first books. So I got the passion and idea from Miami-Dade while I was at Valencia College. I started writing. Man, and since then, it's just been a real journey of personal development. It's been a journey of learning my worth, learning my value, learning that I have a story to share with the world, that my failures are not the end, but it's the beginning. I realized that I had the idea to move out of my parents' house, and I did it. But a lot of people, they have the idea, but they don't do anything about it. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's a story to share, is having the willingness, having the fortitude to say things may not be easy, but something worth having doesn't have to be easy. And it was around that idea, around that concept that how to cross the starting line, it came into fruition. Right. And so it's a long story. There's a lot more to the story, but that's just a nice little nugget.
Today when we kicked off the day,
I
was inspired to see in the same room 2 of your teachers, right? Full circle moment. Both Dr. Volsi and Dr. Ancelora, from your days as an NMB Charger and also as an MDC student. There in the audience. Now seeing the person, the student that they've impacted now presenting as an author. But I mean, I look at your book and I think, who else could write a book like this but an NMB Charger?
That's right. That's right.
So just think about that full circle. You're an NMB Charger and you write a book named headline Go. Talked about charging ahead, right? We're gonna have an opportunity to dive into this book, learn more about this book in our next segment here. So audience, we're here today with Jefferson Noël, acclaimed author, community leader, someone all of you can relate to in your homes. You have a Jefferson Noël near them. Thank you, and we'll be back shortly.
Learn and earn today at Miami-Dade College. College graduates earn 56% more than high school graduates and $1 million more in lifetime earnings. A degree from MDC is your path to greater earning power and career success. Choose from hundreds of affordable high-tech and in-demand career programs, including cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, business, and nursing. Learn and earn today at MDC and fast-track your career. Enroll now at mdc.edu/purpose.
Hi, and welcome back. We're here today with Jefferson Noël speaking about his book and his life, the book that he recently wrote called Go, How to Cross the Starting Line. Jefferson, before we kick off and kind of deep diving into your book, I want to take a moment to recognize the Miami Book Fair and their support of making sure that this was a possibility today. I know that you're a very busy man and it's hard to book authors, but it's just great to have a local talent now be able to showcase your book and your thoughts and your inspirations with all of our students like we've done earlier today. As we get to go through this book, and I did a little bit of reading myself, I wanna have a moment for you to share with all the viewers. You know, we heard earlier that very early on you felt like either here at the college or at NMB that you want to become an author. Mm-hmm. So now that you are an author, talk to us about that moment that finally you started putting ink to paper.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to now, you know, have, out of all of the different titles you could have had it, the title of Go, How to Cross the Starting Line.
Yeah. Whew. So when I decided I wanted to be an author, I didn't immediately start writing, but I knew I wanted to do it. Eventually, I started writing the book. And long story short, I had a laptop and that I got from the 5,000 Role Models. Oh, fantastic. And by
the way, there was a few of them today here on campus.
Yes. Yeah. It was so good to see them. So good to see them. And unfortunately, I tried to enter into, this was another business I tried to do, and I needed money, so I pawned that laptop that had the first pages of the first book I would have ever written, and I never made money from the business, so I never was able to get the laptop back. So I don't even know what I was writing. I don't even know what I was writing when I started, but it's somewhere out there. So if you find that laptop, what camera can I look at? If you find the laptop, please send it back to me. But so after that, there were many books that I started and stopped. But I was like, I need a book that I can speak to that is personal to me, that I can speak to with authority, and that I can share with the world. So long story short, my first book was called Powerful Presenting, How to Overcome One of the Nation's Greatest Fears. So it's a book on public speaking. But after I came out with that book, a lot of people were like, what? Jeff, you're an author? You're an author? And then the people started telling me, oh, I want to start a book. And I didn't realize how many other people in my life also had the desire to be an author. So this book, it came when I was having a conversation with someone named Anne-Marie, and she was asking me advice, not on how to write a book, but on how to start a nonprofit, because she saw the work I was doing with Barbershop Speaks. So as I was telling her about how to start the nonprofit, how to get engaged. So I was telling her about Barbershop Speaks. I was also telling her about my first book. As I was telling her the advice, I realized, oh, this is actually pretty good advice. So as I'm talking, I'm also typing. So I started typing what I was saying as I was talking to her. Wow. And those were the first words of Go, How to Cross the Starting Line. And initially the book was called Fruition. Wow. Yeah, so it was called Fruition, and I forgot what the subtitle was. But 3-4 months after writing, I was like, I don't think Fruition is a good title. Because usually people say come into fruition. That word, people don't usually say that word by itself. So I kept thinking, and I was like, go. I want people to go. I want people to start. I want people to cross the starting line. And that was the inception of the title, Go. And I was like, I'm sticking with this. And from there, I just kept writing.
Oh, I'm a faithful believer that there's a sense of purpose. And there was a reason why that person asked you that question, right? Yeah. I think it inspired you to be able to publish this book, and you're here today. You know, as I was reading through the book, there was a chapter that you focused in a little bit about your time in school and this one club and organization called Generation X.
Yeah.
And I want the viewers to hear from you what Generation X, how it impacted you, and a little piece of that book so they could hopefully tune in and see what's in store.
Yeah, Generation X was a club in high school. It was a Christian club, and it really changed my life because up until that point, I wasn't really accepted in any specific group. I loved basketball, but I wasn't good enough to play on the team, right? And there were a lot of other things that I loved doing, but there was no crowd, there was no audience for it. And growing up, I always had a lot of insecurities, whether it was my skin condition, eczema, or how I felt I looked, or whatever the case is. And I was basically an outlier. I was a misfit. I was someone who couldn't fit in any particular puzzle. And when I came across Generation Next, they were also misfits. They were also outliers. They were anomalies. And that was one of the first places I ever felt a sense of community outside of my household. And it was in Generation Next, we had Bible study almost every single day, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we had executive board meetings every Tuesday. And it was the first place where I was able to exercise leadership skills. Because I'm not a natural leader. I wasn't born a leader, but it was something that had to be developed and nurtured. It was always in me, don't get me wrong, but I had to nurture, I had to plant the seed, I had to be in the right place. And Generation Next was that place. And I thank God for them. And a lot of them are still my very close friends to this day.
Well, he definitely molded a leader here standing before us. As we continue to dive into your book, and you think about, speak to the youth out there, right? Because your story in this book also includes a point of failure, right? And your life story is a point of failure, but what you do after that, I think, is what inspires, right? And you also share in the book that you shouldn't fear to fail, right? That you should move forward and have decision points, do an evaluation, a matrix, if you would say, and say, okay, this is right, this is not right, and then come to a result. So share with really quickly a little bit about what we could look forward to in our next segment and in your text that we're going to continue to review.
Yeah, fear is a major factor in why people don't cross the starting line. They're afraid of embarrassment. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid that they may not do it right the first time. But as I said, anything worth doing is worth doing wrong the first time. And so you need something to run toward, but you also need something to run away from.
Wow, that's a great summary. We're here with Jefferson Noël speaking about his book, Go, How to Cross the Starting Line. We're going to continue on our next segment and see not only what else is in your book, but what's the future for Jefferson Noël? I know that you've been doing a lot of different Barbershop Speaks, right? And you've been doing different TEDx's out there. So we want to hear more about you. Thank you so much. And we'll continue on in the next segment. All right. Watermelon.
Learn and earn today at Miami-Dade College. College graduates earn 56% more than high school graduates and $1 million more in lifetime earnings. A degree from MDC is your path to greater earning power and career success. Choose from hundreds of affordable high-tech and in-demand career programs, including cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, business, and nursing. Learn and earn today at MDC and fast-track your career. Enroll now at mdc.edu/purpose.
Welcome back once again. We're here today with Jefferson Noël speaking about his book, Go, How to Cross the Finish Line. And, Jefferson, we were kind of evaluating your life story, talking about the charge of why the book, and we recapped a little bit about fear, right? And I think you use fear as a motivator also to charge you forward.
That's right.
As you think about the reach of this book, and I'm sure this is not going to be your last book you're authored.
It will not.
I'm sure you're already thinking about what does the next chapter look like in your life and in your next book that you want to author. Give us a little bit of golden nuggets, if you would say, that are out there of what you could look forward to and what's the future for Jefferson Noël.
It's funny that you said that because a couple days ago at the time of this recording, I actually came from Toronto.
Okay.
And I was in Toronto for a few days finishing my next book. And my next book is called Behind the Talk, Stories of Pain, Purpose, and Life Lessons. Because I gave a TED Talk in 2023 titled From College Dropout to University Professor, Here's What I Learned. But 5 months before I gave that TED Talk and I received the news that they approved me to give that talk, I found out my dad had stage 4 cancer. And that was one of the worst days of my life. One of the worst days of my life, August 14th, 2022, finding out he had cancer. And I detail the pain and struggle of both being excited and having to focus and prepare for what could be the biggest speech of my life, while also taking care of my father while he was sick and seeing him lose weight and be in unimaginable pain and seeing him suffer. And so it was extremely difficult, because in the TED Talk, I'm talking about painting a masterpiece with your life and using what you have at your disposal as a paintbrush to paint. At the same time, I felt life was throwing paint on my canvas. So no matter how beautiful I tried to make my life, life just kept ruining that canvas. And it was very, very difficult those 5 months. He eventually passed 2 months before the talk, which was also devastating. And I had to find the strength to give the talk anyways. And I was the first person speaking that day. And minutes before I got on stage, I was weeping, crying, because my dad wasn't there for me to talk to. So the book behind the talk is to share that story of those 5 months prior to giving the actual talk. But then during the actual talk, where I share 3 lessons I learned from college dropout to university professor, I had a whole bunch of lessons I could have shared, but the TED Talk was only 12 minutes. And so I was like, I have like over 20 lessons. And I was like, I'm going to keep those lessons. So the second part of this book, Behind the Talk, I'm going to go over 20 lessons on things that I learned from college dropout to university professor. Wow. And I'm so excited for the book to come out. I'm excited for it to come out because I know it will change lives, but I'm also not excited because of the fact I'll have to speak about this often. Yeah. And I genuinely do not like speaking about it, about what the pain that I went through, seeing my father suffer through. But I know it's necessary to do it. I feel called. I feel it's important to share this part of the journey, no matter how painful it is. And I write in the opening words, I'm not fully healed yet. Right. But with the strength I do have, I will use my voice.
Yeah, it's incredible to see the impact of a loved one, of a parent, of a friend, someone that really makes a mark in our life. And when unfortunately we lose them on this earth, you know, what heartache it brings to us. Yeah. As we were speaking, there's always a saying that I think about, what doesn't break us makes us, right? And I could see that your hardship through the loss of your father really is going to inspire a great new book that I look forward to reading. Yeah, it's and you know, I love your TED Talk, right? From dropout to university professor. Yeah. You've been able to bring your talents to Florida Memorial. You've been able to now bring your talents to FIU. And maybe we could bring your talents here to MDC soon. We'll see. Yeah. But as you look forward, right? I know you're going to author this next text. These are moments in your life that you're building legacy for yourself. So if anybody watching this show looks back and says, you know, you want to write your own legacy, you're going to write your own manuscript of what people would like to say about Jefferson Noël, what is that?
Ooh, that's an amazing question. So I'll answer it 2 ways. One, you mentioned what doesn't kill you essentially makes you stronger. In the new book, I talk about being anti-fragile. What does that mean? Something that's fragile is something that's easily broken, right? The opposite of fragile, you'll say, is something is strong, it has fortitude, so it doesn't break easily like metal or whatever. But being anti-fragile is not the opposite of fragile. It's being able to get better from your brokenness, right? And so our immune system, the way vaccines work is they'll put some of the disease in the vaccine and then they'll introduce it to your body fights it and then becomes stronger as a result. And so it's more difficult to contract the disease. So our immune system is anti-fragile. Our bones, when it breaks and it heals, it becomes stronger again. Right. So in order to be able to tell your story with power and without shame and with strength is you have to adopt an anti-fragile mindset that when you go through pain, when you go through turmoil, when you face the inevitable difficulties of life, you realize it's not there to break you and shatter you into a million pieces to never recover again, but it's a way to create something beautiful again, like a phoenix that rises from the ashes. Wow. And so you need to adopt that mindset of, yes, I will go through pain, but through that pain, there's tons of purpose.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So here today, as we wrap up this show, we're Jefferson Noël. I love that analogy you mentioned of a phoenix rising from the ashes. And I could see you being that spirited bird that continues to want to soar to new heights. Right? And I just want to thank you for being our author this year at the 19th Annual African American Read-In. It was a real special moment. You touched the lives of hundreds of students. Wow. And I will share with everybody here today that now Miami-Dade College has adopted your book and has put it on our Learning Resources platform, college-wide. All of our students, both dual enrollment and regular students, can now check out your book digitally and be able to see how special your story is, what's in this book, and they can learn from those experiences. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation, coming. I look forward to reading your next book. All those viewers out there, look up Jefferson Noël. He's definitely an author you want to learn about and read about. He's a local, he's a Miami native. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you so much. Watermelon. I keep forgetting watermelon.
Man, I gotta tell you.